Hi everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations, and I'm here to share with you a walkthrough of this album, and then we're going to dive into a tutorial and I'll show you how I made it. This is a really great big giant full album and it's awesome for a baby. I'm using Simple Stories Boho Baby, and I got that from Country Craft Creation in my design team package. I'm going to share that with you in just a second. And I'm also wanting to share with you this other album. This is my prototype album, and at the end of my tutorial I'll share with you what this album looks like. There's a couple little minor differences. I made this one first and I tweaked a few things and did this one with the different things that I decided to do with it, but they both turned out absolutely amazing and I can't wait to share them with you. So both of these collections, this one here is called Baby Dreams Boy, and it is an exclusive paper collection from Country Craft Creations. It's absolutely gorgeous, and again I'm going to share that with you at the end of the tutorial. This one here is by Simple Stories and it's called Boho Baby. So let's go through the walkthrough, then we'll get to the tutorial, and then at the end of the tutorial I will show you the other album. So I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I was able to use with this package. So I did have a 12 by 12 collection kit for Boho Baby. And again, this is Simple Stories, and it is available at the store at countrycraftcreations.com. And this is a wonderful package. It has 12 sheets of the double-sided cardstock with tags and everything, and it also has a sheet of stickers. Now, I also purchased extra of the cards because I wanted to make sure that I could use the backs of these in my project. So just to share with you what's left over, I did use quite a bit. So out of the package I have one lone full sheet of paper, and then here are the bits and pieces from making the album. So I don't have a whole lot left over, but I definitely have enough where I think I might be able to do another project, another smaller project. So I'm going to keep these leftovers because I think I'm going to be able to do that. I did use some of the stickers here, as you can see, that came with the kit. Now I also did get the 6x8 paper pack, and I used 16 out of the 24 sheets of this. So really nice to have both sets of the paper collection. And then I also had the journal bits, which I used some pieces from there. I had the page pieces. I used some pieces from there. The decorative brads, which have chipboard pieces at the bottom. They're really fun, and I used a lot of those, as you can see. And then I used a couple of these chipboard pieces as well in the album. So let's go through the album and I'll show you what I did. Now I did go through my stash. I did use some flowers from my stash, but they were all purchased at Country Craft Creations at different times. So I don't know if these particular flowers are in the store anymore, but I will give you links below where you can go check it out and see if there's anything that, you know, may work. The seam binding, I used two different colors. I used ivory and light pink, and that again is from Country Craft Creations. So the album concept is kind of one of those gatefold albums, and it has graduated pages on the inside. And I was playing with a new kind of way to mat the pages and make pockets and interactions at the same time. So I've got a couple different things going on. So let's start with the album itself. So it has a 2.5 inch spine here, and it's a 2.25 inch spine here. And as you can see inside, it kind of graduates down in size. The front cover is one of the pages from the 6x8 paper pad. I used some of the gold metallic mirror paper, and I used white for the base of the book, and then I used the burgundy cardstock from Country Craft Creations as the accent color. I had some enamel dots left over from a previous project, so I used those. The chipboard pieces here are from the chipboard that I got with this collection, and then again my flowers that I had left over from other projects. These are some of the decorative brads that I used, and then I also used some of the decorative brads on the ties here, and I didn't show this in the tutorial, but all I did was get a 3/4 inch circle punch, and I punched two pieces of the cardstock, and I sandwiched the ribbon in between them, and then I put a brad on either side. So it has a cute little, you know, dangle at the end of the tie. Then when you turn the album, I have one of the chipboard pieces that I put a little bit of seam binding and tied a bow with some twine, and then I used some of the decorative brads. And then on the back of the album, I used one of the chipboard pieces as well. So I did put some magnets in this to help kind of hold the shape of the album, and then we have our tie that keeps everything closed. So when you open it up, here's where we start, and we have a pocket on this side. And in here, I took some of the cut-aparts from the paper collection and backed them on cardstock, and then put those in the pocket. And then I decided to make kind of a page photo mat. So I took a 4x6 cut-apart on this one, and then a 4x6 piece of paper, and then matted it with the cardstock. And then on the other side, what I did was use 3x4s and did photo mats that way too. So it's a double-sided photo mat. And I have 2 of those, which I thought was kind of fun to do. On this one here, I did a whole page of white and then just put these in the corner so I didn't have to like fit 4 pieces together. But this one, they're 2 separate pieces. And I just thought that was a fun way to do a photo mat and put that in this large pocket here. I used a sticker here, and then this is one of the die cuts, and I used some enamel dots for the eyes and for the cheeks, and then a little sticker down here that says My Sunshine. Over here, this is the other side of the cover of the album, the front cover, and I just put the sticker here and left this open. You could put a picture here if you like. Then it opens up like this. You have a waterfall here with the simple tie closure. I put a sticker down here that says Welcome to the Crib, and then I just used 3x4 cut-aparts to make a waterfall over on this side. And you have room for pictures back up here, and then you have your inner layer. So during the tutorial, you're going to hear me talk about piece A, which is the cover, and then piece B, or page set B, is the next layer. And this layer is a little bit smaller. As you can see, it kind of graduates down. Seam binding closure here. I used a button, and this was left over from a previous design team package, and I just tied some twine through it. This is one of the die cuts, and I left it so that you could put a picture underneath. There's a sticker here, some flowers from previous collections. So then when you open this up, then you have this side over here and the pocket here. We'll check out this side first. When you open this up, you have, this is one of the 6x8 pages from that paper pad, and then it opens up to a photo mat over here, and I put a die cut here that is glued in the middle so that you could put a picture above and below, and then you have a pocket here, and then this is a variety of the journaling tags and cut-aparts that I use scraps of the cardstock to create photo mats. And then that just simply ties together. Then you have this page here is another pocket. Here was a piece of lace from Country Craft Creations, another leftover button from an old design team package, and then another sticker here. There's some cut-aparts here on this one. I matted that one with cardstock. This one I created a booklet for photos. And then this right here, this is fun. This was part of the paper collection, and there was a whole sheet of tags, and it's 1 through 12 months. And on the back of each of these is weight, height, milestones, and loves. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to make a simple tag booklet so the mom can go ahead and write down those milestones on the tags and then have this little booklet to, look at. So I tucked that in there. I thought that was kind of fun. Then this side opens up, and we have another side over here that opens. So this other flap, this is one of the die cuts, and I just did it so that you could put a photo mat behind, and it just kind of peeks over the top of the picture. So you can write down baby's information, and then a sticker here that says, Oh Baby. When you open this up, here's another big photo mat. I just added a sticker up here, and then you can have the photo opportunities here, and there's another pocket. So it mirrors the other side. And then I just put in some more of the journaling cards and cut-aparts backed on cardstock in this pocket right here. And then this just closes and ties. Then the middle section, so this is middle section C. It has another tie closure. Now on this first part here, I just decorated this with one of the die cuts from the collection with some of the seam binding and then some more flowers. And then each of these flaps opens up and it gatefolds up to make photo mats here. And then there is another opportunity down here. So, and then a big opportunity right here. Then this flap opens up and you have a corner pocket here. Again, more of the cut aparts backed on cardstock. A sticker up here that says little U. I thought that was really cute. And then over here, we have a flat page, and this is one of the 6x8 pages that I just cut down. This will hold a 4x6 picture, no problem. Another button, and then this opens up, and there's a photo mat here. And then you have a pocket here with more cut apart. So you have lots of room to put pictures. So 4x4, 3x4, and 4x6 pictures. You can put them everywhere. So then that closes. That does have a magnet closure, and then that opens up, and then you have another corner pocket. So then you have more cut aparts in here. And then in the middle, we have a waterfall booklet, and that just ties here. On the little bunny rabbit, I used some enamel dots for her cheeks, and then I put a little dot in the flower on her head there. And this is just a cut apart that I cut down a little bit. This waterfall is 3.5 by 5.5. And then these pages just flip, and I left the backs open for pictures and then just used scraps of paper to do the pages. So that is my album, and I think it turned out really cute. I'll tie this later, but they just kind of all fold up into each other, and they have graduated pages. There's a 1/2-inch gusset between all of the pages, and there's even a 1/2-inch gusset between like the spine pieces and the next page set, so you can decorate the spines a little bit too if you wanted to. Lots of room for photos, lots of fun interaction, and I think that it will be really awesome for new mom to have with her new baby. So let's get started with the tutorial, and I'll show you how to make it. We'll get started with the tutorial, and I just wanted to let you know that obviously you've seen the walkthrough of this particular album that we're making. I'm going to show you how we made it, and then at the end of the tutorials, I'll show you the prototype album that I made using Country Craft Creations Baby Dreams Boy paper, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I did alter this particular tutorial because that is the prototype, and I did change a few things, so if you see a few differences, that's why. But I think that, you know, I like to make prototypes because then I can tweak things, make it a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit, you know, I don't know, work better. So anyway, let's get started with this tutorial. Now, we're going to need quite a few pieces of chipboard and cardstock for this, and I have a list. Now, in the description, I also have a list of all the stuff too. So we'll go through it on air and then we'll talk about it. I already created the actual base of this because it's basically making an album cover. I have the link to how to make the lay flat method, which is what I use to make this. So we'll go through the sizes and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll actually create the cover and make it. So for the chipboard, you will need the piece that's 9x9 is the back of the album. The 7x9 piece of chipboard is the left front, and the 5x9 is the right front. And then you have two spines. One, which is on the left, is 2 3/4 by 9, and the other one on the right is 2.5 by 9. And the reason why I did it 1/4 of an inch is because we're going to set some magnets. We're going to have some interaction on the inside of this, so it's going to actually even out once we get all done with that. So that is why I did that. So again, the chipboard pieces are one at 9x9, one at 7x9, one at 5x9, the 2 3/4 by 9 here, and the 2.5 by 9 over here. And the cardstock you'll need to cover all of this. 11x11 will cover the 9x9 piece. The 9x11 will cover the 7x9 piece, and then the 7x11 will cover the 5x9 piece. And we're going to cover those just as you would the front or back of an album. And then the spine pieces, for the 2 3/4 side, you'll need a 5 3/4 by 11-inch piece and a 5.5 by 11-inch piece for the 2.5 side over here. And then the 2 6 by 8 and 7/8 are the inside spine pieces. Okay, so those are the pieces that you're going to need. And when you get done with it, you are going to have an album cover that looks like this. Now remember, there is going to be a quarter of an inch gap between these two spines, because we're going to set magnets and we're going to put some stuff on the inside here. And so again, that will even out. You're also going to want to do a seam binding for closure. And this is more, it is for closure, but it's also more for pretty, because we're going to set some magnets that's going to help this album keep its shape as well. So you will need 2 magnets to do this particular part. And then you'll need some seam binding. Now I used light pink and ivory for the seam binding of this album. We're using Simple Stories Boho Baby, and it just fit perfectly with this particular color scheme. So I doubled it because I wanted kind of a fluffy bow on the front, and then I also on the back of the album put it there. So it's going to wrap around the spine, and it's going to tie in a pretty bow in the front. So I already did that. So that's what the kind of the outside of this looks like. And then the inside will look like this at this point. So you'll have your middle piece, the 9x9, the 7x5 piece here, and then the 5x9 piece here. I went ahead, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and talk about the cover. So let's start with the cover of the album. That is the 7-inch side. And I went ahead and created my cover for that. Now I used the burgundy cardstock for this, and I think it's just absolutely, it works really well because this isn't quite brown, but it's not quite red either. So I kind of wanted to have a contrasting color, and I did use mattes throughout this book, and I don't normally do that, but this time I did. And then I also am going to show you how I incorporated the mattes to make the pockets and things as well. So you kind of get a twofer on this one. A BOGO, if you will, a matte and a pocket at the same time. So we're going to be talking about that. So, and the other thing that I did a little bit different in this one is that I cut everything at a quarter of an inch smaller than the piece that I'm covering. Okay. Usually I do it at 1/8 of an inch, but I really wanted the colors of the mattes to shine. So, and I really wanted the white as well, because I really liked the contrast. So, for example, the back cover of this album is 9x9. So I cut my cardstock, at 8 3/4 by 8 3/4, and then I cut the pattern paper at 8.5 by 8.5. So it gives you an 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay, so I already took care of taking these, or getting these pieces ready. On the front pieces, I did use some of the gold mirror paper, and pardon me, my doggy is calling. Now, the only difference in the way that I cut my mats is the gold paper. So what I did, I had the 6x8 pack of papers, and I did use one of the papers for the cover. So that's only 6x8. So I cut the gold mat at 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, so that I would have that nice border, and then I backed it. So the border edge on the front and the front two covers have a little bit more of the, contrasting cardstock showing. But everything else is done at 1/4 of an inch less than what it's covering. I hope that makes sense. So, obviously you can do it any way you want. I had one pack of the 12x12 Echo Park papers, and there are only 12 papers in there. And then I did purchase extra of the journaling cards because I really wanted to use those as well. So I did have pretty much 12 full 12 sheets of pattern paper. I did use all but one. So I used 11 of the full size sheets. And then I did use quite a few of the smaller papers. I used, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I used about 16 of the 8x8s. So it does take a little bit of paper to do this album, but totally worth it because it's big. It's got a lot of room for opportunity for photos and all that. So it's a real good, it's a nice album. So there's that. So anyway, already prepared this, and this. Now, when we need to set the magnets, we're going to set the magnets on top of this gold paper. This gold is very thick, and so is the cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all this down, and then I'll show you how I set the magnets in just a minute, okay? So I will be right back. So this is what you should have at this particular point. So we've got the front cover covered completely on the right or the left side of the album. So this is the front cover here, spine, back, spine. Now this one we're going to stop at this point. So I just wanted to reiterate, this is a 5x9 chipboard panel, and the coordinating cardstock is 4 3/4 by 8 3/4, and the gold here is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. Okay. So we got that. We're going to stop here. Now I did cut the pattern paper that I am going to put on top, and I did do my circles for the magnets, but we have to wait for a minute because we have to actually cover the inside first before we continue on with that. So we're going to put the element here that we need to put down. So on the inside cover, you're going to need one piece of coordinating cardstock that's 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. So I have some circles here for my magnets. So I like to use those circles to help cover the magnets and protect the pattern paper. And then I have my pattern papers picked out for this particular thing. So what this is going to do, this piece of paper here is going to mat and create a pocket. So you're going to stick your cardstock in your scoreboard. I can't talk today. And on one of the 9 3/4 sides, you're going to score at 1/2, and you're going to score at 9 1/4. And then we'll turn it and score at 3. Then what you're going to do, I'm going to put this off to the side for just a second, is we're going to do some cutting. So this 3-inch piece here is going to fold up and create a pocket. So these are going to be the tabs that work or create the sides. And then we're going to cut these tabs out completely. So what you're going to do is we're going to, this is kind of like one of my configuration kind of things, but I'm doing it to mat the pages with the coordinating cardstock. So I was kind of playing with that while I was designing this album. Now, you totally do not have to do this. If you wanted to just add a pocket to the page, you could. You will have to cut it a little bit bigger because the page is actually, 9 inches tall. So you would have to cut a piece of paper at 10 inches by like 3.5 in order to make, the pocket, if you wanted to do it that way. But if you want to go ahead and use coordinating cardstock like I'm doing, then all you have to do is do this, and then you're going to end up with a mat and a pocket all in one swoop, which is kind of fun, I think. So you're going to fold your tabs in, you're going to fold your pocket up, and voila, this is going to fit right here with 1/4 inch. It's less 1/4 inch than the whole page. Does that make sense? Getting myself tongue-tied. So this is 7 by 9. So this will be 8 3/4 by 6 3/4 when you get all done with it. Okay. So there is that. I didn't cut that very straight. I'm going to cut my scores out. I can't see. The lighting, for some reason, my eyeballs aren't working today. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Kind of a little distracted too because I'm listening to my doggy out there. Poor little guy. All right, so I'm just going to put glue on the tabs and fold that up and glue the tabs like so. All right, and then we have our piece. So then with our pattern paper, I'm going to pop that in there, and then I'm going to glue that onto here. And then you can see that we already, we basically matted our page and created a pocket all at once. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to do that real quick. Put this pattern paper down. So I'm just going to put my glue down. Like so. Okay, and then we'll glue this to the page. So we'll go and do that. And then we'll add our magnets. And I will show you how that is done. All right. Okay. Line that up. There we go. There we go. All right. Now, before we put our magnets down and before we put our pattern paper down, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close my book and I'm going to use my scoreboard to help me line this up because I want it to be square. So I'm going to use, I hope you can see this. Let me double check and see if you can see this. Like this. I'm going to use my scoreboard because it has edges on it. And I'm going to line up my book. I'm going to make sure everything is nice and square. All right. Put my ruler there to make sure that I have it nice. Because I do want it, I don't want it wonky as much as I could possibly help it. This is right about there. And then what I'm going to do is grab a pencil, and I'm just going to real kind of lightly make a mark. I'm going to cover this with pattern paper so it's okay. So I know where the edge of my book is supposed to go. And that mark here, and it's really hard to see, but it's right here. So I want my magnets in here somewhere so that when I close it, they'll help keep the album in its shape. So let me get this out of the way. And, whoops, I'm going to drop everything too while I'm at it because I like to do that. You guys know that. All right, so I have my 2 magnets. And in between that mark I did, so up here in the corner somewhere, like right about there, I'm going to set my magnets. Okay, so I can see my line here. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. It's very light. All right, I'm going to set my magnets, and then I'm going to do them on the other side. So that's why we made those little kind of pencil lines in this, so that I can close my book back up and then set my magnets properly. So, and it's kind of hard to see. I'm kind of trying to get it in. There we go. There we go. I'm just kind of lining up those lines, and then there's my magnet set. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little pieces of paper. I'm going to do my little tape trick here. So I'm going to grab my score tape. I'm going to put my score tape down here, and we'll go ahead and put it on the opposite side too while we're at it. Okay. And then you're going to do this on both of the magnets. And I've kind of talked about this before. I've started doing this to kind of help protect the pattern paper. What happened to my other circle? I think I lost my other circle. I have another one. To kind of protect the pattern paper and kind of mask the magnets a little bit. And it's worked out pretty good. And it just drives me bonkers when like my paper gets really, really molded around the magnets, and you can kind of see them. So this kind of masks them a little bit. The pattern paper is not that thick, so it'll help mask them. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. That's totally fine. But I also thought that setting the magnets underneath the gold paper wasn't going to work very well because the gold paper is very thick. All right, so we have that, and then we're going to just set this on top and glue that down. And if your glue seeps out on your gold paper, all you have to do is just wipe it up. It's crazy. It wipes up great. Just slides right off. But that is one thing that the glue does squish a lot easier on the gold paper. So I tend to have more ooze no matter how far back I put it from the edge. But that's okay because it wipes up perfect. Okay, so we have our magnets set there. And then we'll do the same thing over here. All right, so I'm just kind of squishing this around, making sure that the score tape is set. There we go. Like so. Get my little circles, put that around. And then I have my piece that covers the pocket like so. I did get a little bit of something there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And I was asked the last time what size circles that I use for this, and I either use, it just depends on which circle punch I grab, but either an inch or an inch and a quarter seem to work really well. These are an inch and a quarter. So, and I just use scraps to punch them out, and I actually punched out a whole bunch of extras because I figured I probably would lose one at some point. So there you have it. So now we have the inside right pocket done. Oh, there it is right there. See? We have our front page, we have our magnets set, and now we can tie our ribbon around our seam binding, make a pretty bow right there, and our cover is finished with that. So I'm going to get the next step ready, and then I will be back in just a minute. Alright, I just had a major malfunction with my camera, and I totally messed up. So I'm not sure how to do this except for to redo it, and I apologize profusely. So what we missed was basically how to do the inside. So obviously the spine's pretty easy. I just did them exactly the same as I did the man, oh man. All right, one more time. All right. So I just had a major malfunction with my camera, and I'm not sure what happened, to whether it turned itself off or I didn't turn it on again or what. My dog has needed some help several times, and I could have probably just forgotten to turn it back on. Anyway, I filmed all of this. I thought I filmed all of this, and it didn't come through. So the good news is that it's pretty easy to explain. The bad news is that I don't have like enough stuff right this second to redo it. So let's talk it through and see if it makes any sense. So I'm hoping that if you are cool with it, you'll see in different sizes how I created this pocket. I believe I redid it again on another piece of, another part of this album. And then the waterfalls, I've done a million of these waterfalls, and there is another one in this album, and we'll go through the same process. But let's talk it through real quick. So the inside left cover, you just need one piece of your contrasting colors at 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. And what you're going to do is you're going to stick it in your scoreboard, and you're going to score on one of the sides. Let me see. I'm going to get another piece of paper because I don't think it's going to work. Hang on. Okay. All right. Take 3. All right. I've had some technical difficulties, and I don't know whether it was my fault or my camera's fault, but I just filmed this whole entire section and none of it is recorded. So we're doing it again. I will talk you through it. I'm going to show you how to make this pocket. The waterfall is pretty easy. I've done this a bunch of times, and I'll put a link to my tutorial if you're not familiar. But we do have another waterfall coming up, and it uses the same principles. So we'll do it again. So don't worry about that part. And then I'll talk you through how to make this frame. So let's kind of get started. I did, cover the spines the same way I covered the outside spines with the matting and all that. And then I was playing with using a contrasting color to create a pocket and a mat at the same time. So for the inside left cover, you will need a piece that's 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. And what you're going to do is put it in your scoreboard. And on one side, you're going to score at 1/2 and at 9 1/4. And then you're going to turn it, and you're going to score it at 3. Okay, and that's all you're going to need to do. And I know I'm using white which is not a contrasting color for this album, and I apologize, but yeah, I cannot believe I did this. My dog has needed some help multiple times during trying to film this, and I think I probably just forgot to turn the camera back on, and I just started going to town with the tutorial, and I didn't, yeah, turn it on. So when you get this scored, what you're going to do is the 3-inch part on the bottom is going to fold up and create the pockets. This is kind of like a configuration mat, I guess you could say. I do a lot of configuration pages where I do cuts and folds and make things. So I decided to use the coordinating cardstock. It's going to make the mat and it's going to make the pocket. So what you're going to do is the 1/2-inch tabs on the side, you're going to cut it off on the top, but then you're going to leave this bottom tab here to fold up and create the pocket on both sides. All right. And then you're going to fold your tabs in, your little 1/2 tabs in, and then fold this up, and this is going to create the pocket. And this is it. This is all you have to do. And again, this is in the contrasting colors, so when you lay it down on your page, it's going to turn into the mat. All right. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Pretty easy. And I was just like, wow, this is an aha moment, because you can just use one piece of paper and do a little folding, and voila, you know, you have your pocket and your mat all at once. So that's how I created this side. So then, let's talk about the middle. So the middle section, we're going to layer 2 more bases onto this. And so since I had only 1 pack of paper, and I wanted to try to kind of conserve the paper that I did have, what I ended up doing was I cut the frame for the cardstock and for the pattern paper, and I just glued the pattern paper down on the edge, and then I turned it over and drew an inch border around, and then I took my X-Acto knife and I just cut it out. So what I ended up doing was cutting this whole center completely out, and then because I only glued around the edge, I was able to conserve these 2 pieces of paper to use for mats and decorating and things for later, because this is going to be covered up by the next page, and you'll see that when we get to it. So I kind of was like, that's just a real waste of paper, especially since I don't have that much to work with. So that's what I did to create the frame. Some of it will show, and that's why I wanted the frame, but this inside is going to be completely covered up. So that's why I did that. So I hope that makes sense. So this is a 1-inch border. Once I glued everything down, I just did an inch border, cut that middle part out, and then I have the 2 pieces of paper left over. And it's like a 6 3/4 by 6 3/4 square of each of the cardstock and the pattern paper, and it worked out really well. So that's what I missed on the filming there. And then the waterfall. So I put my pattern paper down on the 5-inch paddle with my mat, and then I made my waterfall. So the waterfall for this is built for a 3x4 card. So it is 3 1/4 inch wide, and then each panel is 4 1/4 inch tall. So you're going to need 3 pieces of paper, 3 1/4 by 11, a 3 1/4 by 10, and a 3 1/4 by 9. And then you're going to put them in your scoreboard, and you're going to score them at 4 1/4. And when you do that, the asterisk near the longest one, you only scored on one side, okay? So I don't have another one cut out in that size, but when you put it in your scoreboard, you have the 11-inch here. You're going to score at 4 1/4, and then you're going to stop. You don't need the second score because we're going to glue that entire back down to the panel. But the others, the 10-inch and the 9-inch, you'll put them in the scoreboard. So the 10-inch at the top, score at 4 1/4, turn it around, score at 4 1/4. Do the same thing for the 9. I've done my waterfalls a lot. I have another one coming up later in the tutorial. So if that is new to you, just hang on to this part, hang on to these pieces. You can do this part later. You don't have to do it now. And you can watch the process for the next waterfall, and then you'll know how to make this one. If you have any questions, please let me know. I apologize profusely for missing that piece of the tutorial. I'm just sick about it. And my dog is doing it again. So hang on just a second. I may have to stop for the day. We shall see. Okay. Okay, I'm back and I've kind of finished putting this assembly together. So the front of this has the photo mat page. Now I'll do the spines later. I just basically did a matting just like I did on the cover. Then when you open it up, you will have a pocket here. You'll have your fold out here, and then when you open it up again, you'll have another fold out with a pocket here. So the one thing that I did forget to mention is that you really do need to put a closure on here because it'll help keep everything nice and tidy. So I ended up, because I already had put the matting on there, I used this Cricut tool, I swear is the best thing ever. I just kind of really carefully wheedled it underneath my matting and then poked that seam binding in there and got it in there. So if you forget to do that, it's not like the end of the world, but you could do like an afterthought kind of thing like I did in one of my other tutorials where you add it on top and then cover it with some sort of embellishment. But I was able to kind of stick it in there. So you do need to put a piece of seam binding there and then on the back side. Okay, so it'll wrap around and tie it shut and kind of keep the shape. Once you get your embellishments on here and get it full, it'll be really nice and it'll look really pretty too because it'll have another bow. Okay, so we got that done. So this front part's done. We have the inside fold out with a pocket here done. We have this one here done. And then I did the frame that I'm going to put down, or I did put down, because we're going to put another layer on top of this. The next thing to do is just to add it to the book. So basically, what we're going to do is I'm just going to fold this up like so. This back piece here is going to be added. So we're going to put glue here, and then we're going to just lay it down on the page. And I folded it up, so I'm going to lay it down. There will be approximately a 1/2 inch all the way around, and then you can kind of fold up your pages and make sure you're nice and square. You can do that. You can also use your tool here. So between the scores and where your page is, okay, so the score of the back of the book and your pages, because the back is 9 by 9, the base is 8 by 8, so you want to measure from that point, okay? And this spacer will help you do that. So you can kind of do that. You can use your ruler, however you want to do it. And we're just going to go ahead and add our glue to the back and then lay it down, all right? So I'm going to do that. Like so, and I'm just going to grab my ruler here. I'm going to put the 1/2 inch mark at the score and then right there, and that should line me up pretty perfect, like so. And then you can press it flat. And then you can scooch it over and press it flat, and that will adhere it right into your book like so. All right, now you can see how you have the border from the back side around, and when you fold it up, you'll have a book, you'll have the page, the inside page that's 8 by 8. All right, so then the next thing to do is do piece C. I'm gonna stick this over here and let that dry flat, and we're gonna grab piece C. Now this, and I am recording this time, yes, this is done in the exact same manner, just different sizes as page set B. So we will go ahead and take care of this, and this time we won't forget to do our closure seam binding as well, okay? So for piece C, you need one piece that's 7 by 7, one piece that's 8.5 by 7, and one piece that's 6.5 by 7. And you're going to take your pieces. So for piece C, and remember the scoring is different for this one from B, but I'll have all that down below. So for the 7x7 piece, put it in your scoreboard, score at 1. For the 8.5 by 7, put it in your scoreboard with the 8.5 at the top, score at 1, and score at 8. That'll give you a 1-inch side here and a 1/2-inch side here. And then you're going to take a piece, the next piece, which is 6.5 by 7, with the 6.5 at the top, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And that's all you're going to do. We are not going to miter anything. We are just going to fold and burnish. Okay, and we're going to put them together. And this is exactly the same method that I used for piece B that I didn't get on camera. Yes. You have to love technology sometimes, or, you know, the people who don't know how to use it. I'm cracking myself up. Okay, so the piece with the 1-inch side will be on the left, 1-inch side on the left, and then you have your 1/2-inch side on the right. So basically all you're going to do is you're going to put your glue, and I'm just doing it on the middle piece, on the you know, the middle section on that particular side. And I'm going to line that up right to the score line. Make sure it's all lined up, and then I'm just going to fold it over and glue that down. So that'll create that reinforced side that's 1 inch wide. All right, and we're going to do the same thing for the 1/2-inch side. And again, I did it this way because I really wanted my spines on the inside pages reinforced. Can I get that? Having a hard time lining that one up. Okay, there we go. And lay that down. I'm going to see I'm off a little bit on the bottom there. So I'm just going to trim that up. And now's a good time to do that before you add anything to it. There we go. Okay, so now I have my inside C piece that will look like that with the 1 inch on the left and a 1/2 inch on the right. All right, so there's that. Now, let me get the rest of the pieces for this. So the front piece here will be a gatefold piece, and I have my papers ready to go. You'll need a set of magnets, and you're also going to need your seam binding. Okay, so let's add the seam binding now before I forget. Okay, so right in the middle of this, we're going to add our score tape. So this page is 7x7. The assembly is 7x7, so it's 7 inches tall. So we'll line it up so the 3.5 is from the center of each side. Put our seam binding down, and then we'll do it on the back side as well. Okay, so just flip it over and do the same thing. Line it up and do that. Okay, so now our closure is on, and we don't have to use our Cricut tool to do anything fancy after we went, messed up. Okay, so there is that. Now, this piece here, this piece will be the mat for the front page, and then we're going to have gatefold pieces that go with it. So the gatefold pieces, let's see, the mat here is 5 3/4 by 6 3/4. So you just have that piece. And then the two gatefold pieces, and they're both scored exactly the same, are 9 inches by 5 1/4. And with the 9 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 and at 5. And that is all you have to do with that. Both pieces, fold and burnish. And I did it so that this is shorter than the page underneath it, so it doesn't get caught up in anything when we fold it down. Okay, and then basically what you're going to do is glue this to the back side of your mat. and, you know, have it nice and centered, and that's all you're going to do. You're going to do one at the top and one at the bottom. You don't have to worry about mitering these if you don't want to. And then I'm kind of eyeballing it. It's about 1/4 of an inch on all the sides, okay? So I'm just gluing that to the back of that mat. All right. Then that'll fold over the top just like so and create a gatefold that folds out. All right, so we'll do the same thing here. It's an easy album to put together, I think. You guys let me know. I've had so many problems with this tutorial, I'm not sure anymore. Cracking myself up too. Okay, and I think after this I'm gonna get my housework done and then maybe take a well-deserved trip to the store. So on this one here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to just line these up so that I know that they're nice and centered properly and they line up. And then I'm just going to lay this down so that my gatefolds match, okay? I don't want them to be off. And then I'm just going to fold it over and glue it to the back side. Just like so. All right, so then you have a fold up that's going to go like that, and then you're going to have a fold down that'll go like that. All right, and then we'll do a magnet closure on this one. So I know I saw a magnet here somewhere. What did I do with it? Here it is. So we're going to set our magnet. Now, in order to make sure that we get it in the right spot, just grab your pencil, close it. So this will be the top. I'm just going to make a line so I know how much room I have on this bottom panel to put my magnet. And I'm going to stick it like right in the middle of that space right there. And then do that. And then you have your magnet closure. Let's go ahead. We'll put our circles on. Like so. So I cover it with tape. There we go. And then the pattern paper will go over top of that. Okay. Like so. And get a couple of these circles. I punched out a bunch because I didn't want to lose them. All right. And then the pattern paper will go on here. Actually, this one's going to be here. Okay. So put a pattern paper on the outside bottom, which will cover that bottom piece. And then the outside top piece will have pattern paper. The rest of them will have photo mats. Okay. So I do have a photo mat that is not that size, this size here. There's 2 different sizes, so you'll have to measure. And then I'll just put my photo mat right over the top of that. And it's going to fold down like so. All right. So let's glue that down. And then that'll just get the magnet part done. And then I can finish doing the rest of this off camera so you don't have to watch me map pages. Okay. All right. So that'll be the photo mat, and I'll put photo mat here and here as well. And then I'll put photo mats here and then in the 2 middle places. And then I have pattern paper for in here. So that'll fold down like that. And then you'll have a piece of pattern paper that goes over the top like that. So that's going to be our page. So I'm going to put these off to the side and I will finish that part later. And we will add this to the front page of our book, just like so. All right. There we go. All right, so there is the front part of page C, just like that, okay? So then when we open this up, then we'll have this side to do. So let's do that. And let's see. So the part that's going to go on the inside kind of front of page C is a pocket flap. So I have my pattern papers here. There is a magnet that we will set for this. So you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. You will need one that is 6 3/4 by 9 3/4. All right. On the 6 3/4 side, we're going to score at half. We're going to score at 6 1/4. And we'll turn it and score at 3 after I pick up my thrown bone folder. And then you're going to need a piece that's 7 by 4 1/2, and you're going to score on the 7 at 1/2, and that's just going to make the flap. It's really a pretty simple page. So we're going to fold and burnish the flap, and then we're going to make another pocket. A pocket mat, I guess I'm calling it. I just think this is kind of a cool idea. Gives a little pop of color, gives strength, and it kind of does it all in one fell swoop. So, you know, hey, what's not to love, right? All right. So, cut that up. Cut that out. So this is just another, the same thing, just a different size to fit the different page. So the outer album is like 9 by 9. The piece B is 8 by 8, and piece C is 7 by 7. And then I designed it so that it has 1/2-inch gussets everywhere, so that you can add embellishments, you can stuff pockets, you can add things to things. All right, so fold up our pocket like so. All right, and our flap, what we're going to do is just center it and glue the tab to the back one more time. And the reason why I'm gluing it to the back is because I don't want the hinges to show underneath. So it's kind of I'm hiding the attachments basically on the back. Okay. So I'm eyeballing it here, but I'm centering. There we go. Oops, wait. I think I got that. Nope, I didn't do it right. There we go. I think that's more better. There we go. I think so. Yep. That's more better. I laid it down and then it went crooked. All right. So now we have our flap and we have a pocket. And so I have my, pattern papers cut for this, but we do need to set a magnet. This is going to go on the top like this, but I won't, do all that part on camera. I'll finish that off camera. We'll get the construction done today. So we have lots of pocket space up here. So I'm just going to set my magnet kind of right in the middle there. And do that. Okay. And then we're going to do the circles and stuff. And then, yeah, we're good to go with our pocket with a flap. So I'll stop right there. I'll finish this up in a little bit, but I have my pattern paper that's going to go there. Here's my pocket piece here. We're going to put a white photo mat here that will hold a 4x6 picture, and then we'll have this part on the top here. All right, and I will finish this later. So I'm just going to put that down like that, and then we're going to glue it onto our book. I'm just going to put glue on the outside. We're almost done. Piece C has a lot more pieces because we're not adding anything to it, so we get to actually use the middle part for another interactive piece, which is fun. All right, so we grab in our book. We're going to put it on the front of the other side right here. I'm just going to put that down right there. And I have to keep reminding myself that I did a 1/4 inch less on these instead of an 1/8, because I have a little bit more room to lay down my stuff. And I get to see all the white with the red. I think it's really pretty. Okay, so there's that. So now let's work on the inside sides. So this is a simple corner pocket. So we're going to have a photo mat for each side. All right, so each side will be, get my ruler right, 5 3/4 by 6 3/4. So you'll need one for each side. Let me grab the other one here. Okay, and then you'll need a piece of paper that's 5 1/2 by 6 1/2 to go on each side. All right, then you will need a square that is 5 by 5. All right, we're going to take our 5 by 5 square, we're going to put it in our scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch all the way around. So you can either do it half turn, or you can do it at half, 4 1/2, and then turn it, go half, and 4 1/2. And then you're going to cut it into a diagonal. So I'm going to do that super fast. Okay, so I have it cut. Then we can miter the triangles, miter the corners sharply. Okay, then we'll fold and burnish. I'll talk about those in a sec. And we're going to have corner pockets. Okay, so then we'll have a nice big base page that you could decorate the upper corner, and the bottom corner can be a nice pocket for cut apart, some more photos, what have you. All right, so we're going to do that. All right, so then on each side, what you're going to do is grab your photo mat, and we're going to glue this right to the bottom outside corner, like so. And right to the corner of your mat. Okay, both edges, like so. Okay, pattern paper will slip in here, like so. We can go ahead, we might as well just go ahead and glue this one down, because it's pretty simple. Yep, and again, I got carried away because I have to remember that I did a 1/4 inch on this book instead of an 1/8 inch. All right, so then to mat the pocket. So once you get done with, you take your 5 by 5 square, score it at half on each of the 4 sides, and then you cut it in half. What you're going to end up with is a triangle that's 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so take a piece of pattern paper that is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, cut that at the diagonal, and then that will mat your pocket, like so. All right. And then we will just glue that onto our page like that. All right. Okay. Just like that. Now we have a nice pocket on that side too. So I will do this particular pocket later, but you're going to have the same exact pocket on this side as well. Okay. So then the middle. Let's talk about the middle. The middle is awesome because it's another waterfall. And then we can talk about the waterfalls because I totally missed it the first time. So let's get our pieces out of the way. So first off, what you'll need to do is mat the middle. We're not going to cut the center out this time, okay? So we're going to actually use the whole thing. So, and I guess if you wanted to cut the middle out of the cardstock and then cover it with pattern paper, you totally could do that. But since, yeah, I don't know. I suppose you could. I'm not gonna, not for this layer anyway. So I'm just gonna lay that down, center that. I'll put my spines on later because they're just simple. And then put my pattern paper down. Okay, and prep it because the waterfall will lay right on top of this. Just like it laid on top of that inside cover. All right, and then lay that down like so. Okay, and then we have our waterfall. So I have my pattern papers all ready to go. I'll do that at, later and show you what it looks like afterwards, but we'll get the base done. You will need 3 pieces of paper, and on this one, so you'll need 3 pieces. So they're 5.5 tall, and they first one is 9.5. The second one is 8.5. And the third one is 5.5 by 7.5, okay? So 5.5 by 7.5, 5.5 by 8.5, and then 5.5 by 9.5. So the 9.5 one, you really only needed to score one side. I goofed up and scored the other one. Doesn't really matter because I'm going to glue it down anyway, so it's not going to be a big deal. But you're going to want to put it in long side at the top, score at 3.5, and you're done for the longest one. So that was the 9.5. You only have to score once. So for the 8.5, put it in, score it at 3.5, and then you can turn, score at 3.5. So you'll need the 2 scores on the 8.5, and then you'll need the 2 scores on the 7.5. At 3.5, turn, 3.5. Okay. So once you're done, then we're going to just build it like we did before. Okay. I've already kind of folded it and burnished, but I will redo that one because it looks a little crooked. All right, you don't only have to do one side. You only have to do the one side on the longest one because we're just gonna glue it down. But it doesn't. It's okay. It's not gonna show. We're gonna cover it like we did a full blown waterfall anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And make the spine. Okay. Grab our 1/2-inch spacer. If you don't have these, I think they're a must-have. They come, whoop, I mooshed it. There we go. They come in a set of 3, so you get a 1/2 inch, 3/8, and a 1/4 inch, and you get 2 of each. So they're really nice for matting and doing all this stuff. It's just amazing. And I can't believe I don't have to drag my scoreboard out anymore to do my waterfalls, which I love. And all my waterfalls have a 1/2 inch gusset for the most part, unless I otherwise state so, but more than often than not, 1/2 inch gusset. Okay, so I did the 1/2 inch on there, and then line that up with the score. And you can actually feel the score too, which is amazing. Like so. Like so. Like so. All right. Wipe up my excess glue. So now I have my waterfall, and this one will be a vertical waterfall. The pages are 3.5 by 5.5. Okay, so then let's add our closure. So it's going to be a seam binding closure, and we're going to line it up at 2 3/4 from the center. Put our score tape right in the middle. Grab our seam binding pieces. My seam binding is, from Country Craft Creations, and it is gorgeous. Again, it's ivory and it's pink, light pink, and I use somewhere between 12 and 14 inches when I cut them. So each of these is about that much. So, and I did use quite a bit in this album, but that's okay. So then that'll fold over and tie. So we just need to glue this into our album. And when we do, we're going to center it. And it's going to be roughly, if I can see it, I can't see it, so I'm going to eyeball it here. So if we look from the pattern paper, about 1/4 inch on either side, and then from the bottom, about 1/2 inch up. Okay, and that's looking at the pattern paper on this one. So kind of line it up first, do a dry fit before you glue it down. Unless you're like me and you go rogue and you just eyeball it all the time, which I tend to do. But most of the time, I get it pretty okay. All right. Yep. There we go. Okay. And then that is our waterfall that goes in the center. Making sure everything is good. I do have my pattern papers, so each page will have a pattern paper on the front, and then the back side will remain blank for the photos. I didn't do photo mats because these are all kind of skinny anyway, so I didn't do photo mats. I'm just going to leave the backs blank on this one, but then this will tie and be a pretty closure for this, and I will finish the papering of that later. So then basically this is done. So you'll have another diagonal pocket here, and then it'll fold like that. You have your flap with your pocket here, and then you have the cover with the gate folds here. Okay, and then this will tie shut. So we just need to add this to our book. So let's grab that, get this out of the way, and then we'll grab our book. Okay. We'll open it up and get rid of that. And this guy will go right in the center. Okay. So right about yay. Double check it. Where's my ruler? I always hide it from myself too. So 1/2 inch from the score, okay, of the cardstock. All right. So I'm just kind of lining that up. So it'll go 1/2 inch from the score and 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the cardstock, the white cardstock on your base layer, because that B layer is 8 by 8. This is 7 by 7. So 1/2 inch up and in, okay? That's an easy way to remember. So then we'll just go ahead and glue that bad boy down. Putting glue on the back side of our C layer, the 7 by 7 piece back here that's square. Okay. And then I'm just gonna make sure I'm lined up and layer down. There we go. Okay. Open it up. I'll press it down from the bottom. Let's see. When I did my prototype, there we go. Yeah, there it is. So then when you close this book up, and again, we still need to do the spines and stuff, and then when you get your embellishments and your flowers, it's going to make it puffy, and it will close up nice and square. It will look, you know, of course, full and beautiful and fluffy and frilly and all that stuff, depending on how much you put in there. I have adhesive brads, I have some chipboard pieces, I have flowers, but each layer will close up like that, okay? And then, of course, I've got to trim all of that, but then that'll close over like that, and we'll glue this down, or glue this down, we'll tie this down like so. Like that, okay? And then, again, this layer here will go here. The magnets will help keep its shape. And then you have your beautiful double ribbons here. That will close the album, you know, and look pretty. So, there you go. So, I need to finish papering and decorating, but basically that's the tutorial for this album. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that I didn't confuse you too much with all of the problems that I had with my videos. This is a beautiful collection that is called Boho Baby by Simple Stories. And this is available at Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com. I did use the white, the burgundy, and the gold mirror cardstock available at Country Craft Creations. It's just amazing cardstock, and it's gorgeous. So anyway, I love this collection. I love the colors of it. I think it's beautiful. This would be really good if, you know, these days I had a lot of friends that don't know what they're having. They're waiting till the baby's born. So this is a really good unisex. It could be a boy, it could be a girl. Beautiful colors, beautiful patterns. And it's just, I just think it's pretty. I love when you get it all full, it's going to be beautiful. So you've already seen that because, you know, you saw the walkthrough. So I will get this finished, and let me show you. I promised I would show you my prototype. So this is the prototype album that I made, and I wanted to share it with you because this is Country Craft Creations Baby Dreams Boy, and it is a stunning collection that's just absolutely gorgeous. I made this for a friend who's having a baby, and I know she's having a boy, and I don't think she's going to be watching this, so hopefully. But I ordered the papers separately so that I could do this project for her, and it came out gorgeous. So I did tweak a few things from this album to the tutorial to make it a little bit better, but it's basically the same. It's a little bit narrower. I did change that, but anyways, let's go through it because pretty much everything else is the same. So I did use double matting on this, and I had flowers that I bought from Country Craft Creations. These are several different kinds, and I've had them for a really long time. Excuse me. I'm really sorry. And I used the seam binding from Country Craft Creations, this beautiful blue pom-pom trim, and the lace is all from Country Craft Creations. But I created the cover. I just love the little sleeping baby animals. They're just so cute. On the spine, I had this beautiful little blue butterfly that matched the collection. And then on the back, isn't this gorgeous? Now I did, like I said, double matte almost everything in, well, not almost everything. I think I double matted a ton of stuff in here, but not all of it. But I didn't do that in the tutorial. But this has another closure. Okay, just a closure, and it also has the magnets to keep it nice and tidy. And I used just the beautiful navy and baby blue papers that went with it, and I just thought it was really pretty. In this front pocket, I used extras from the paper collection, and I just created some photo mats in various sizes and tucked those in there. I thought that was nice. And then this flap opens up, and then I have my waterfall. On this one, I did a kind of a magnet thing. On the one in the tutorial, I did it a little bit different, but it has a flip here that is the closure with a magnet, and then I did the waterfall upside down. So it opens like this, and I did use white photo mats on here. This is for 3x4 pictures. Just really pretty. And then on the front, I did the same thing here as I did in the other album. I did a page that has a photo mat, and this one I used the paper that said boy. I had some leftovers from a, where is it? Did I put it away? I put it away. It was 28 Lilac Lane, and I got it in a couple design team packages ago that had all these flat back pearls, and it had buttons and all kinds of stuff. So I used those because the colors matched in this particular album as well. So it turned out really gorgeous. So I did use the buttons with some twine from my stash, some flowers that I bought from Country Craft Creations. I got another button tucked back here. This opens up with a tie, and you notice that this tie here is a little lower because I did that as an afterthought. When I was first making this album, I thought, well, I don't really need it, but I kind of did. I wanted to make sure everything kind of held together and kind of kept its shape, and it really does once you get everything in it. And I'm not really sure what that blue part is, but I will figure that out. So it opens up like so, and then you have a pocket page. So we did that, all right, with 2 photo mats in it, and then it opens up again, and then you have your 2 flaps. Now on this one, I just left the flaps as flaps, and they open up like this. I used one of the papers, I fussy cut that out so you could tuck a picture behind that beautiful little sleeping deer. And then on the other side, I did another photo mat, and on this one I used a strip of paper and divided it into 2 sections. So you know, on the tutorial I added another pocket because I really wanted to do that. I wanted to add a little bit more space to put things, so I did that. And then the inner layer C, here is the gatefold, okay, with the fold outs, and I did it pretty much the same as I did in the tutorial. Okay, so it folds up and then it folds down. You got your cute little sleeping bear cub and all the butterfly. I just love this. And then this unties, and then we have our corner pocket for the photo mat. I did a stack of buttons here because this one kind of fit inside this one with the twine, and then I fussy cut out that little sleeping raccoon and backed it on a little cardstock and decorated the pocket that way. Here's the flap that goes over the pocket on piece C. And I put in some smaller photo mats out of the leftover paper and cardstock. And that has a magnet closure. I did add the flowers and some buttons and twine and things. And then you open it up. Here's your other diagonal pocket with a photo mat. And then you have your middle layer here with your waterfall and stuck. And then it opens up and then just has blank on one side and then pattern paper on the other to create the photo mats. So this was my prototype, and I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. I honestly didn't change a whole lot. I added the pockets, and I did the matting a little bit different, but other than that, as I was making this album, I was super happy with how it was coming out, so I really didn't change too much, that's for sure. So I wanted to share that with you. This paper is also available at Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com, and this is Baby Dreams Boy, and she also has a Baby Dreams Girl that is absolutely stunning as well. So I'm hoping that my friend likes this, because I think this album turned out really good. And I also think that this album would be really cute for other projects as well. I think this would make like a good October or December daily, because there's lots of flaps and pockets and things to put things. This would be great for all kinds of different stuff. So that's my prototype. And again, I'm going to decorate the other album, and you have already seen that. So we will, that's the tutorial. So again, thank you for putting up with my complications with my tutorial. I hope that I explained everything okay. If you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know. And again, I hope you enjoy the album. Thank you for watching. Have a really great day. Please visit Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com. Like and subscribe, and if you wish, and have a very, very crafty day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.